I want you guys to listen to this conversation between Paul McCartney and John Lennon.
So where's George? Oh, he doesn't want to do it. He said I'll do it. Yeah.
This is a conversation that happened after George Harrison left the Beatles during the recording of Let It Be in early 1969. And I think it's really important to note that neither John nor Paul knew the microphone was there, so this is a true unfiltered conversation between the two. I feel like this conversation is extremely important, especially for people that want to understand the main reason the Beatles had so many problems in the later years. We've heard 1,000 different stories that go from Yoko being in the studio to substance abuse to the death of the band's manager, but the real reason is something completely different. Even though it's easy to think that the boys had an amazing artistic chemistry because they did build the greatest discography of all time, the reality wasn't really like that.
It's a pestering wound. We've allowed to, and yesterday we allowed to go even deeper, but we didn't give in and we probably did. And when he is that far in, we have egos.
As John points out throughout the conversation, for years they've been having problems about the way they were supposed to play certain songs, but they didn't say anything, and all those feelings were being bottled up. Paul, more than anyone, was a control freak when it came to his songs, but as they all grew, those feelings became more and more intense. They all wanted to play freely, without the others dictating how they played, and eventually, they couldn't keep it in anymore.
Like, should we play guitar all through Hey Jude? Well, I don't think we should.
Yeah, okay, well, I don't mind. I'll play, whatever you want me to play. Or I won't play at all if you don't want me to play.
That is the biggest problem the Beatles ever faced, because the reality is, there's no villains here. One can definitely argue that Paul was too obsessive and controlling. He should have let the others contribute more to his songs. But then again, why would he do that? He wrote the songs, so he should be allowed to say how the songs should be performed. But then again, is that fair on the others? I mean, George probably had thousands of ideas we never got to see because of Paul's demands, and I can't blame him for not wanting to be Paul's session musician. Same for John. Unfortunately, this was a problem that had no solution. The only way things were going to get better was if they broke up, which is exactly what they did. And yeah, George did come back to finish not one but two albums, Abbey Road and Let It Be, but already by the time this conversation took place, it was pretty obvious they weren't going to be able to keep going as a band for that much longer.
Isn't there amazing that is a new problem? But I think we're all very old, we're all wins, so the problem will all sing together.